Have you ever wondered why the world's most polite nation is also the most mysterious? Westerners see Japan as a paradise of supreme respect and orderly cues. But what if their real secret isn't kindness at all, but a radical obsession with avoiding hassle? This isn't just wild speculation from an outsider. As a native Japanese creator myself, I look around every day and think, yeah, we really are just incredibly lazy. In this video, we're going to look behind the curtain of the Japanese psyche, from a rare peace gene to a unique form of godless faith. We'll discover how we Japanese have weaponized the concept of Mendokusai to build one of the safest societies on Earth. By the end, you'll never look at Japanese politeness the same way again. Let's dive in. Section 1, the most hypocritical nation. Are we hypocrites or just beautifully strange? Welcome to Japan, a country that makes absolutely no sense to the outside world. Foreigners often look at us and feel completely confused. Think about it. We cross the street only when the light is green. We wait in perfect queues, even for a simple coffee. Westerners see this and think we are the most polite people on Earth. But here is the twist. The exact same people will tell you they have no religion. Yet every January they rush to Shinto shrines to pray for good luck. They visit family graves, buy lucky charms, and celebrate festivals with intense passion. To a Western observer, this looks like complete madness. You either follow a religion or you do not, right? But in Japan, we do both, and we see no issue with it. We do not even notice our own strange behavior, because we are completely used to it. So let me ask you a question. How does your country view religion and daily rules? Do you think sticking to habits without a strict faith is hypocritical? Or is it just practical? Let me know in the comments below. Section 2, the cultural myth. Politeness versus radical laziness. So, why are Japanese people so obsessed with rules? Westerners often praise our etiquette as a sign of supreme respect. They see our neat lines and think we love order. But as a local, I must tell you the truth. It is not about holy respect at all. The real driving force is something else. It is a radical desire to avoid trouble and hassle. In Japanese, we have a perfect word for this feeling. We call it Mendokusai. It simply means, this is too much work. Think about how we form perfect cues. We do not do it because we are naturally saint-like. We do it because fighting over a spot is a massive headache. Dealing with an angry stranger is just way too much energy. The same applies to our complex social manners. Japan has strict rules for business seating called kamaza and shimoza. We follow these seat rankings perfectly. Why? Because if we do not, someone will complain. And listening to complaints is, you guessed it, incredibly Mendokusai. We act polite so that nobody bothers us. By creating a flawless shield of manners, we protect our inner peace. It is the ultimate form of productive laziness. Section 3, the peace gene illusion. The truth about the YAP chromosome. Now let's look at this radical laziness through the lens of science. You might be surprised to learn that genetics could explain our behavior. Scientists have discovered a very unique DNA trait called the YAP chromosome. Interestingly, this specific gene is almost never found in other East Asian countries. Yet, research shows that nearly 40% of Japanese men carry it. In some circles, this is famously called the peace gene. People love to say this gene makes the Japanese naturally kind, hardworking, and selfless. During World War II, foreign soldiers were terrified by how Japanese fighters threw away their lives for their country. They simply could not comprehend that level of self-sacrifice. Many believe this genetic trait traces back to our ancient ancestors, the Jomon people. But let's look at the dark side of this so-called peace gene. What does being peaceful actually mean in daily life? It often means you would rather bend over backward than start a fight. Standing up for yourself takes too much emotional effort. Arguments are noisy, exhausting, and stressful. In other words, the peace gene might just be a genetic blueprint for being deeply Mendokusai. Section 4. The 10,000-year Jomon peace harmony by default. To truly understand this blueprint, we must travel back in time. Let's look at Japan's prehistoric era, known as the Jomon period. This fascinating age lasted for an incredible 10,000 years. Here is the shocking part for historians. During this entire 10,000-year span, archaeologists have found almost no signs of warfare. There are no mass graves with battle wounds, and no weapons designed only to kill humans. Compare this to European or Middle Eastern history. Over there, the last 2,000 years have been a non-stop cycle of bloody wars. Yet ancient Japan remained peaceful for 10 times longer. Why? Romantic thinkers believed the Jomon people were pure, loving angels. They picture a utopian society where everyone danced around the fire. But let's look at it through our realistic lens. Fighting a war requires an immense amount of planning, training, and building defenses. Stealing your neighbor's food sounds like a great shortcut, but dealing with a bitter revenge plot afterward is a massive nightmare. The Jomon people likely realized that sharing and cooperating was simply much easier. Peace wasn't a grand moral choice. It was just the least exhausting way to survive. Section 5. Linguistic chaos. Why the Japanese language refuses to be spoken. Next, let's talk about our language. Out of 6,500 languages in the world, only about 400 have a proper writing system. Most human languages were made simply to be spoken. But the Japanese language is a completely different beast. Honestly, it does not even function properly with just sound. Why? Because we have an absurd number of homophones. These are words that sound exactly the same but mean different things. For example, take the word kosho. If you just say it out loud, nobody knows what you mean. In a Japanese dictionary, that single sound has nearly 50 different meanings. It can mean a negotiation, a high place, or an official document. To solve this chaos, we rely heavily on visual characters. English uses just 26 alphabets. Chinese uses only kanji. But Japanese uses kanji, hiragana, katakana, and even Roman letters all at the same time. Why did we create such a crazy, complex system? You guessed it, because ancient Japanese people were incredibly lazy. We originally imported kanji from China, but writing those heavy, complex characters every day was just too much work. So, to save time, we started taking shortcuts. We simplified kanji into hiragana for quick writing. We cut off pieces of kanji to create katakana. We wanted to make writing less annoying, but we couldn't throw away kanji because of the confusing sounds. As a result, we got stuck with this beautiful, chaotic mix. Section 6. The no-religion religion. Believers without a god. Now let's explore our spiritual world. Japan has thousands of beautiful shrines and temples. Yet, if you ask a local, most will proudly say, "I am not religious." This is the great Japanese paradox. In the West, being religious means following strict commandments. You read a holy book, attend services, and pledge loyalty to one God. It requires a lot of mental and lifestyle commitment. But the Japanese version of faith is completely different. We do not have a holy book or strict commandments. Instead, we treat spiritual actions as casual habits or seasonal entertainment. On New Year's Day, millions of non-religious people crowd into shrines to pray. We buy lucky charms, get our fortunes told, and enjoy festival food. We do these things simply because our ancestors did them. It feels comfortable and nostalgic. By calling it culture instead of religion, we create the ultimate loophole. If it were an official religion, we would have to follow strict rules. We would feel guilty if we skipped a ceremony. But a cultural habit, you can skip it whenever you are too busy or tired. We love the spiritual vibes, but we hate the heavy obligations. So let me ask you a big question. Does your culture have traditions that feel religious but are just done for fun or habit? How do you define the line between real faith and daily culture? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Section 7. The Great Holiday Exodus, an unconscious pilgrimage. To see this godless faith in action, just look at Japan in mid-August. This is the season of Obon, a traditional time to welcome back the spirits of our ancestors. During this week, something truly wild happens to our transportation system. Millions of people pack into bullet trains and crowd onto highways, all at the exact same time. The traffic jams can stretch for over 50 miles. People endure hours of brutal waiting just to visit their hometowns and clean family graves. To an outside observer, this looks like a massive religious pilgrimage. It requires the same intense sacrifice as traveling to a holy city. You might think the Japanese are deeply devoted to their ancient spirits. But if you ask them why they endure this torture, their answer will surprise you. They will just sigh and say, "Well, it's a family tradition, and I get a holiday." They do not see it as a holy duty. By keeping it casual, they protect their freedom. If Obon were a strict religious law, missing it would make you a sinner. But since it is just a habit, you can stay home and watch television if the traffic gets too annoying. We willingly endure the chaos, but we refuse to label it as a forced command. Section 8. Lawsuits versus silence. The high cost of arguing. Let's contrast this behavior with the Western world. especially the United States. America is famous for being a highly litigious society. If there is a car accident or a broken contract, people call their lawyers immediately. They want clear justice, and they want it fast. But in Japan, the legal landscape looks completely different. Even if a citizen is clearly right, they rarely take someone to court. They prefer to settle things quietly. Or they just swallow their anger and stay silent. Western observers often praise this as a beautiful sign of harmony and patience. They think the Japanese are too kind to hurt others with a lawsuit. But let's look at the true psychological reality. Filing a lawsuit is an incredibly noisy process. You have to hire lawyers, gather evidence, and argue in a courtroom for months. It takes a massive amount of time, money, and emotional energy. To a Japanese person, this endless fighting is a complete nightmare. Standing up for your perfect rights sounds great in theory, but in reality, dealing with a long legal battle is just too much work. We choose silence not because we are holy saints, but because fighting is simply too Mendokusai. Section 9. The silent meeting, why no one speaks up. This radical avoidance of trouble shows up clearly in the Japanese workplace. International business leaders often complain about our meetings. They ask, why does everyone stay silent? Why does nobody share a strong opinion? To a Western professional, a meeting is an arena for debate. You share bold ideas, challenge your boss, and fight for your projects. Silence is seen as a sign of weakness or a lack of creativity. But in a typical Japanese office, the dynamic is entirely different. People sit quietly, nod their heads, and avoid eye contact. We rarely disagree with the manager in public. Foreigners assume we are just shy or deeply respectful of authority, but the practical reality is much more cynical. In Japan, if you speak up and propose a fresh idea, you automatically become responsible for it. You have to write the reports, convince every department, and fix any problems that happen. Your workload instantly doubles. Plus, you risk starting a long, noisy argument with your coworkers. To a Japanese employee, that sounds like absolute torture. Expressing a strong opinion creates an endless mountain of extra work. It is much easier to stay quiet. Follow the crowd and protect your evening free time. Silence isn't a lack of ideas. It is a smart shield against a mountain of Mendokusai tasks. Section 10. Conclusion. The beautiful efficiency of Mendokusai. So, what is the ultimate truth about the Japanese identity? We are not a nation of perfect, holy saints. Underneath our polite smiles, we are just highly practical people who hate unnecessary hassle. But here is the beautiful irony. By weaponizing our desire to avoid trouble, we created a magnificent social system. Our radical laziness forced us to design a world that runs with flawless efficiency. We keep our streets perfectly clean, because cleaning up major trash is a nightmare. We train our trains to arrive on the exact second, because dealing with angry commuters is too exhausting. We treat each other with deep courtesy, because a minor social friction takes too much energy to fix. Our collective obsession with Mendokusai gave birth to one of the safest, most peaceful societies on Earth. We did not build this paradise through grand moral speeches. We built it by quietly agreeing that fighting and chaos are just too much work. The next time you see a Japanese person bowing deeply or waiting patiently in a long queue, remember the secret truth. They might not be practicing supreme respect. They might just be protecting their precious peace from the ultimate enemy, an annoying, avoidable hassle. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.